Thomas Tuchel better get used to it if we put in performances like that, because had Gareth Southgate been in charge, Stu, he would have been massacred.
Yeah, there's no doubt that the narrative would have been slightly different if Gareth was in charge. I think it was a real eye-opener for Thomas. I really do. I saw his frustration later on in the game in the technical area, and trying to G the team up, trying to get them going and drive them forward a little bit. And I think it was a real eye-opener for him. I'm sure he'd have had a real good week leading into the game, got to know his players that little bit more. That's what it's all about for him at the moment. Get to know the players, get to know which ones he can trust, which ones he can't, and all of a sudden the team deliver a performance like that, which would have left him scratching his head, Jeff.
Yeah, but a lot of fingers are going to be pointed at him as well, aren't they? The team selection was unexpected, shall we say. I mean, Curtis Jones playing as a right-back moving into midfield when you've got Trent Alexander-Arnold, who does that for his club, or his previous club, as Liverpool are now, sitting on the bench. And Jordan Henderson didn't do anything wrong, really, but every time he touched the ball, the cameras cut to Declan Rice sitting on his backside on the substitutes bench. Reece James playing out of position. I mean, the team selection was bizarre, wasn't it?
I don't know whether, and as you do, I mean, I've been in that position myself when you've got a team for 2 games and he's got a mentality of saying, well, I've got 2 games here and I need to look at a 2-game scenario rather than just a one-off game as such, The first game obviously being the easier one, even though we didn't make it particularly easy. And you look and say, well, what do I want to get out of both games? And give everyone the opportunity. So maybe his team selection hinged on that a little bit. I definitely think that, for me, the biggest problem, the 2 players that probably had most of the ball was the left and right central defenders. We almost played with a 3, if truth be known, with Dan Burn in the middle of them. And those 2 never advanced once and never created an overload, never drove with the ball, never fed the wide players quickly enough in my world. And that was down to the fact, probably, that Conser was playing on the right-hand side, who's more of a natural central defender, and James was playing on the left-hand side, not his favoured side, and just supported from behind. I think both of those, or different types of players, needed to play there and drive forward a little bit and just try and draw out their midfield block.
Well, let's hear what the manager made of it all. He didn't hold back when asked for his assessment.
For sure not the performance. I think we started quite well. I liked the first 25 minutes and the urgency and the commitment and the energy and quality. I think I had the feeling in the first 20-25 minutes it was a matter of time when we score and when we create chances. We had a lot of chances, half chances and set pieces, but we lost the momentum from minute to minute. I didn't like the last 20 minutes in the first half. Got a little bit better again, maybe for 15 minutes in the second half, and lost it again completely. What I absolutely don't like is how we ended this match. I think we had a complete lack of urgency and lack of seriousness towards the occasion that we play. We play in a World Cup qualifier, and no, that was not the end that we expected.
Well, a lot of England fans made that trip to Barcelona. You've got to admire them. They support the team come what may. But most of them were pretty unhappy. There were boos at halftime, boos at the end as well. Matt, the England fan, called talkSPORT after the game to have his say.
I think there's potential, not a probability, that this goes the way of Capello. I think we're on a powder keg at the minute after this performance. I think the honeymoon period is officially over. If we struggle through the group stage with how combustible Tuchel is, I can see him not making it to the World Cup until we're having to be parachuted in like Hodgson. Now, I'm an England apologist. I support every manager. I support the team, because my point of view is always, when we lose, when we fail, it's going to be bad no matter what. I might as well enjoy the journey up to that point, because one team wins a tournament, and that's a very hard thing to do. So just the journey.
3 games in, I'm not sure we'll be talking about the manager's future already, but I would suggest to you that maybe there's a bit more significance about the Senegal game now, that England actually, for Tuchel's sake, to keep the pressure away from him, you need to produce a bit of a performance.
Without a doubt, I think when you deliver a performance like we did as a team and as a squad, this game's become paramount. You know, it really has, not in regard to results, as we know, but certainly in regard to performance and giving the public a bit of a lift and say, you know, we are building a team here for the future. England have made a big decision in regard to Gareth, and the supporters as well. A lot of supporters had run out of faith with Gareth and thought, hang on a minute, who's going to take us to the next level? And I think they've almost had a bit of a wake-up call in regard to how well Gareth has actually done over the period of 8 years or whatever he was in charge.
Yeah. And anybody who watched, you know, Portugal and Spain last night in the Nations League final, you looked at that and thought, well, these two sides are miles ahead of England.
That's the yardstick we got to match, you know. The likes of France and Spain and Portugal, Nations League winners now, that's the standard that we've got to attain, and we've got to attain that on a regular basis. Whoever you play against, either teams playing a deep block or alternatively teams that might have a bit more wow factor on a regular basis. I think we've got talented players, no doubt about that, but they've got to deliver on a more regular basis.
Yeah, Scott's texted early doors and said England are nowhere near Spain, Portugal, France, Germany, Argentina, Brazil. I could go on. The players think they can just show up. No way will they win a World Cup.
talkSPORT Breakfast, waking you up Monday to Friday morning from 6 a.m. on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.